Welcome, everybody. A little bit about Vazata. So Vazata has been in business for about 17 years now. We have several data centers. We have 5 total data centers, 3 of those being in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and then obviously 1 in Northern Virginia. Our main target for business is obviously in the U.S. federal government agency, mid-market enterprises, and the Global 1000. We've had great success in these areas, and we have several customers in these realms. We are headquartered in McKinney, Texas, and our main focus for customers is going to be those customers that are looking for security, compliance, and guaranteed uptime for their environments. Our hosting environments and our IaaS environments come with 100% SLA guarantee, and also we offer managed services and disaster recovery options as well. We achieved our FedRAMP certification last year for the current version of the FedRAMP certification, that is. We'll talk more about that in a little bit. And we're proud to offer our FedRAMP co-location, or our FedRAMP infrastructure as a service to federal agencies. Our primary industries, obviously, are going to be like healthcare, government agencies, anybody that is looking for secure environments. Today's agenda, obviously, we've kind of given you the introduction to Vazata. We'll touch some more on some of our locations and things we do later on. We want to tell you, why choose FedRAMP and why is it important now for you. And then, obviously, we're going to go over the federal cybersecurity landscape. And then, why do you want to use Vazata for your FedRAMP platform? For now, I'm going to turn it over to Steve and let him take you through the next steps.
Thank you very much, Eric. Stephen, if you don't mind, I'll give you a quick introduction. For the folks joining us, we've got Stephen Kovac, who's Executive Vice President and Head of Public Sector for Vazata. Stephen has 23 years of really deep private and public sector experience in information technology. He's worked for a variety of big-name companies, BT Security, Terramark, and Verizon. And that was all prior to Vazata. Stephen's U.S. and federal knowledge and FedRAMP knowledge is really unparalleled, and we're really looking forward to having him present to you today how Vazata is positioning itself and how they may be some assistance to you. So with that, Stephen, you don't have to talk about yourself, and I'll hand it over to you.
All right, thank you, Ryan, and thank you all that are on the call. I did see some names I recognize, and I appreciate you guys showing up, and for the rest of you, it's a pleasure to meet you. Today's discussion, as Ryan said, is going to be around FedRAMP, and I think the term around, what are we doing different? What is Vazata doing? What is the industry doing? And how do you monetize it? I know a lot of the challenges out there today. People are saying, how do I get FedRAMP? If I get what I'm getting it, how do I monetize it? So my experience has come from a chain of FedRAMP certified companies that I work with to help do some of those things, and hopefully today I can share what we have fine-tuned that we call the Vazata way, which is our FedRAMP as a service. So just getting started, let's talk a little bit about FedRAMP and overcoming the compliance challenges of FedRAMP. I think we all understand that the process of becoming FedRAMP compliant is complex, and it's typically very costly. However, there have been some changes made lately, and they're positive, and we're going to go through those. But it is a daunting challenge, because it's not just the time that it takes for FedRAMP or the cost to build your environment, but it's also the soft costs around it that can really drive it up, and the waiting time to get to market. Our goal is to try to show you that you don't have to be threatened by those. Partnering with a company like Vazata can create an easier way to market and not put the strain, either financial or resource strain on your company and or the service you're looking to FedRAMP. And that's really what we focus on here at Vazata, is trying to find an easier way for you. So why FedRAMP now? I think there's been a lot of talk around FedRAMP. If you're me, you've been involved in FedRAMP, well, you've been involved prior to the old BPA. Vazata was an original winner of BPA. It was the original BPA back in 2009, if you all remember that, which allowed us to get grandfathered into the FedRAMP process. So we've been in this place a long time. I've been around the industry a long time. And when people are saying, I've heard FedRAMP for a long time, why now? And I think that's a good question why now. It's very clear. that today your department agencies have moved slowly with FedRAMP for whatever reason. Has it been hard for service providers to get at the beginning? Maybe. Is the cost unproductive? Maybe. Has the government just been slow to go to FedRAMP? I think all those compounded effect to see why only 18 to 22% of the federal agencies have moved towards FedRAMP. It is starting to pick up, though, guys. As we all know, what FedRAMP does for us, right? So FedRAMP was created to standardize the assessment and continuous monitoring for cloud computing platforms for the federal government. That standardization, I'm sorry, they're going to move the phone closer to me, so forgive me if I pause. That standardization has been a challenge for a lot of the ISVs, partners, service providers, to change their processes and procedures, and as well as agencies to accept that. Whether you're going for an agency ATO or a JAB ATO, meeting these common requirements, meeting these security assessment standards are a challenge for a lot of companies. But we have to go now. It's very clear. I mean, the CIO and the federal government has stated over and over again, the 10,000 data centers will be reduced down. I've heard 75 to 80%. I've heard down below 1,000. Whatever it is, the reduction of the data centers is going to mean the increase of cloud. Why does it matter to you? Well, it matters to you if you're a cloud provider or you want to still manage services into the federal government on a cloud platform. You're going to have to be FedRAMP compliant. FedRAMP is a requirement now of all the cloud RFPs coming out of the government, as well as the GWACs. Just recently, you saw EIS, Network 2020, now requiring you must have a FedRAMP cloud platform as part of your bid. So if you want to offer these cloud-based services, you must have a FedRAMP ATO. We all know that the agencies are requiring FedRAMP, as well. It's not just at the highest levels, at the agency level as well. And whether that's an agency ATO or a JAB ATO, and we're not here to discuss that discussion. I'll leave that for Matt and the team. We're here to discuss just getting the industry to get an ATO. But we also know that it represents a high barrier of entry. So how do we address that? And it's not, like I said early on, it's not just the money, it's also the time. So because of this, it's important to you, and why it matters to you now, is because security and other SaaS offerings are being underserved because they cannot get to FedRAMP quick enough. If you spend the time that I do talking to the agencies, talking to industry, talking to my SI partners, talking to ISVs, the overwhelming opinion is that today we still do not have enough managed service, i.e. security, i.e. software products being offered to the government because of the FedRAMP barrier. We're hoping to change that. So I'm going to get into a little statistics just for a few minutes. Most of you on the call probably have these slides or read these slides, but it's important still to bring it up. So federal cloud spend is expected to reach $7.7 billion by the end of 2017. If you look at the global cloud spend, it's over $200 billion. I think it was 220 was just announced. So it's behind, but we're growing. And whether it's public, community, hybrid cloud that utilize the cloud service provider infrastructure, it's all proven to be a savings to the government. And it's not just a savings in money, guys. It's a savings in time and ongoing security assessment, and a savings in people and staffing and headcount. We do know that the estimated 20% reduction over the federal government has been happening for their IT budgets. So cloud has to play into that. As we start eliminating data centers, we start eliminating servers, we all know that will go to the cloud. And again, if you look at by 2020, the cloud is estimated to be $11 billion, which means there's $4 billion on the table. How do you get your piece of that? We talked about this, some of the mandates that are forcing people to cloud adoption. Agencies must move free service to the cloud by 2015. We knew that. And they must address the cloud first mandate for any new infrastructure, which means that if they want to go build and buy gear, capital gear, if you want to go out and spend the capital expense to build servers, go into a data center, you have to justify why you're not taking that to the cloud. So whether you're a small ISV looking to get your software in there, or a service provider looking to get your hardware in there, infrastructure provider looking to get your hardware in there, if they're going to buy that, they have to justify why they're buying that versus the cloud. makes it easier for them to go to the cloud, but the services have to be there for them to buy. And let's talk security for a moment. And I think this is important because people think of FedRAMP as cloud. And I'm one of the first people who always say we need to question that. Because to me, FedRAMP is a security certification. Sure, it's a certificate for cloud computing, but it is a security certification. So when we look at budget dollars and how agencies are able to spend their money, there's some arguments around, is FedRAMP qualifying to be able to use their growing security budget to buy services? Well, we do know in the managed security space the answer is yes. And now there's people out there that are saying, well, why not? If I can, my security budget's growing 20, 30, 40% a year, I could focus those dollars to FedRAMP as a security certification. And we're seeing more and more of that shift. So when you look at that, you look at just the recent White House report. We all know that last year Obama doubled the security budget from 17 to 38 billion, and it's expected to the new administration is going to increase that spending in security. And why did they do it? They really looking for more managed security efforts around cloud, big data, mobility. We do know that the impact of cyber threats in agencies and across the board in government has been tremendous and is a tremendous burden. All the breaches that we've seen, the question that comes to be, if they were in a secure environment, in a FedRAMP environment, if those apps were running based upon the requirements of FedRAMP, would those have happened? So more argument for us to use security dollars to get the sales of FedRAMP and or your services in a FedRAMP managed environment. We all know that managed security services are a huge demand being driven by the agencies today. The desire to leave the CapEx model and go to the OpEx model is growing exponentially over the next few years. They're looking for a big improvement for products with improved monitoring, the endpoint, effectiveness, and automation as desired. All things that are required, all things that you achieve within a FedRAMP platform. Statewide IT policies will continue to embed cybersecurity in the fabric of the federal acquisition, i.e. why they're asking for FedRAMP cloud solutions, but you're also seeing managed solutions in the security space. Blending those two of managed security and cloud can be a great way into the FedRAMP marketplace. And we all know that security and FedRAMP are widely impacting acquisition policies, that we talked about a slide earlier. And why? I mean, if you look at the reasons why the security landscape has changed and why people are moving to the cloud, it's the managed services versus shared services. It's government, compliance, strategy, tools and appliances, operational and staffing. And all those are addressed within FedRAMP as you go to that. That's what getting your FedRAMP certification is. It's so much more than just getting a certificate. It has to do with continuous monitoring. It has to do with compliance. It has to do with the strategy of keeping your systems up to speed. It has to do with governance. And those are the things that Vazata does well and can bring to the table to help you accomplish your FedRAMP needs. One last thing we look at is GSA. I call these the triggering events. GSA just unveiled its shared services delivery model vision. We do know that GSA is launching multiple procurement vehicles for shared services. And what does FedRAMP give you? Shared services. As we see more and more software providers come to FedRAMP, I look at the Salesforce.com, all the different the SAPs that are coming. All those are shared services being procured on a per user basis. And as you see, GSA is writing vehicles to allow the agencies to share procurements for subscription-based technology services, software as a services, and platform as a services model. And they will continue to explore more models to change investment approaches to help the agencies leverage their resources to purchase more shared resources and multi-agency awards. Now we can talk about FedRAMP, but you also need to know about procurement. If you're on this call, you know federal. Half the deal, if not more, is it's great to have a product, but they can't procure it. It's worthless. So understanding that procurement is moving to shared services, and subscription-based services, FedRAMP can allow you to get there and allow you to sell your services in a manner that allows them to trigger these types of procurement dollars as well as security procurement dollars as well as cloud procurement dollars. So let's talk about FedRAMP for a moment. It's important to understand I like to say I carry the wounds and the scars of FedRAMP. But I think there's a lot of great successes and a lot of lessons to be learned over the first few years through the process. There's no question when we started the process in FedRAMP, you heard the stories, 4 years, 3 years, 5 million, 20 million, 10 million. We've all heard those war stories from some of the original pioneers of FedRAMP. But they always say the pioneers take the most arrows, I guess, right? So for that sense, I think that was a good learning period for a lot of us that were in those early stages. But to my credit to the FedRAMP PMO, Matt, the team, has done a great job over the last year in introducing what is called the FedRAMP Accelerated 2.0. And I know this slide has a lot of data on it, and I know that the slide will be available to all of you after the call, so I'm not going to read the slide to you. The key parts of this slide to understand is that now FedRAMP is targeting to reduce a typical fast ATO from 40 weeks down to 10 weeks, right? They're looking at reducing the original ATO a FedRAMP ATO jab from 104 weeks to 10 to 15 weeks. And the cost is going to be reduced dramatically, however, it's still in excess of $1 million. FedRAMP did announce that 7 new cloud services were added to FedRAMP, with 345 new agencies issued for those services. So let's talk about that for a moment, because those are great stats, and I'm very proud of the office. I'm proud to be part of the team that work with these guys to do that. But I will say one thing: we have to look at what they did to achieve it, and what they did, I thought, was very, very smart. They looked at, in the beginning, when FedRAMP started this, they were in the trenches with us from day one. From the minute you submitted your SSP to your presentation to every single change of word, letter, was all sitting with your ISSO. And it would take weeks and weeks to get documents turned around. It was a very laborious process. It worked. Many of us got FedRAMP certifications, and they were very successful platforms, but it was a very laborious process. So what did they do to accelerate? And if I just go to the next slide, and these were provided to me by the team, and I think the FedRAMP folks are on the call for this. These were provided to me by the team, and then talk a little bit about how the new accelerated process works. So if you look at the steps 1 to step 2, where it says FedRAMP Readiness Capabilities Assessment to FedRAMP Ready. The difference in that is that in the old days, before Accelerated was out, you would build your SSP, as I mentioned earlier, with your ISSO. So what the FedRAMP office has done has shifted that responsibility back to the provider and or the ISP, whoever is trying to obtain that SAS, PAS, or IAS. So yes, the process has been shortened for the FedRAMP office to get engaged before step 1 starts. But what they did was they shifted it now back down to us, the service providers, the folks on the phone that are looking to get your FedRAMP. We still have to do all that data. They just don't get involved now until we submit a completed package from our 3PAL. Sure, there's minimal involvement. But so those initial 8 months that we work with the ISSOs at FedRAMP, yes, that's now shifted. That's shifted back to us and back to our 3PAL. But we still have to go through it. And those who are on the call are looking for FedRAMP, you still have that burden on you. And what we at Vazata hope to be able to do is by inheriting our controls, inheriting our compliance, and inheriting our experience in getting through that process, is to help you shorten that 6 to 8 month process down to 1 to 2 months through templates, through our relationships, through our consultants on staff to help you get your product ready to get to your 3PAO and into the process sooner. So then we can take advantage of the great new FedRAMP Accelerated 2.0. And I know there's going to be questions about that at the end, but that's important. So if you see how it works today, once you do that, you submit your document, your 3PAO has said it's ready to be submitted. It goes in to get your FedRAMP ready, and then FedRAMP goes to the process they had before, which was writing your SAR, doing your your security readiness assessment, and then kicking into the JAB authorization process. If you look at the JAB authorization process now, this is where FedRAMP has really, on their end, sped up their piece. In the past, this was about a 4 to 6 month process as well. And the reason why is because the collaboration wasn't there. now between the agencies and, between your approving agencies and your service provider. They've worked very hard to put a new process in place where you get your kickoff, your JAB review time is shortened, you have your remediation period and your approval period. The good news is now when you're in this period, you're meeting directly, you're getting your comments directly from the 3 approvers, and once you've gotten to a point where all questions have been answered, there's a get-together where everybody gets together and you solve your problems together. You're not sending one question, next question, one question. So it's a much more collaborative process, and we have expertise in doing this and can walk you through this, and we'll sit side by side with you as you do this. So the way we view it and what makes us different is we call our FedRAMP as a service is we're going to help you design it, we're going to help you get it submitted, we're going to stand by you through the process, walk you through the process, and hopefully achieve your ATO in as little as 4 to 6 months, if that's your goal. So let's talk about our model, and then we'll open it up for some questions. So we talked about our model. We call it our FedRAMP as a service, our model. So we talked a little bit about Vazata. We have a long history of designing and delivering secure, proven secure managed clouds. As I said, we were a BPA holder. We've built private clouds for customers. We obviously have our FedRAMP certification, ATO JAB. So it starts with this. It starts with us getting together in engineering, our engineering teams working together to design and create the new FedRAMP SaaS PaaS solution within our partner cloud. So if you're ISV, you're Acme Software, and you want to get your software in the cloud, the first idea is for us to sit with you and look how that design works in our cloud environment. How do we build it? How do we design it? What are the controls that you can inherit? And we together sit and design that first step, that step before one that we talked about on the last slide. So it's all that 6 to 8 months work. We're going to sit with you and give you templates. We're going to give you experience. We're going to work with your engineering teams. We're going to use test environments. We're going to make it easy for you to make sure what you submit works and works well. Then our compliance team will start working with our, as I said, our templates will also engage our 3PAO. We certainly today use Kratos. We're proud of Kratos. We think they're an excellent one. We also recommend Coalfire, but we're not, we're happy to work with you. You have a different 3PO. We're happy to do that. We do have some negotiated discounts with our guys, so we'd love to think that we can get our relationship and our bulk buying will allow you to get those services cheaper, so we can select 3PO for you or use yours, and we work together to write the documents needed. So obviously submitting the SSP, working with the 3PO, why they work on their staff, and then ongoing support through the entire process, all the way through the JAB authorization process. We would sit by your side. And that's really our kind of what we call our as a service handholding part of this, is making sure we've been there, we know it, we can help you. And then again, obviously building the design on top of our FedRAMP JAB, we call it our building block technology, which is our Rev4 IAS security controls, and our built-in proven continuous monitoring and testing capabilities. So we will provide the platform, we'll provide the engineering, we provide the compliance, we will provide the continuous monitoring, and wrap all that together into a model. Our building block platform, I chose on this call not to put our platform up, but to give you an idea, we're a VMware platform built on HP servers with Nimble and 3PAR soft storage today. And it is and we use, obviously vCenter is key to our system, but it's very much a building block. We expect our ISPs to bring their own operating system that they use. We expect you to bring your own controls above the SaaS and PaaS, which we will help you write, and we would want you to inherit as many of our controls as possible. So that's why we call it building block. So continue on that same route. We look at this as a fully managed FedRAMP platform designed for ISVs or service providers who want to fast track their solution, right? If you really want to fast track your solution to the government, but you don't have the time, expertise, the staff, some people say the patience or the money to do it alone, we're a great option. We'd love to be an option for y'all, and we'd love to walk you through this on a more personal basis. Simply put, we become your engineering, delivery, operations, and support and compliance team. So if you're an ISP today or a service provider and you don't have these in the federal space, we have several customers that have all this in commercial, but they don't have it in federal. So we step in and say, we'll be your federal engineering, delivery, operations, support, and compliance team. There's several guys that just sell licenses today. And they say, hey, we want to sell licenses in FedRAMP. Great. We become their total delivery arm in the FedRAMP space. We also have procurement methodologies that we work with all of our partners with, be it through the contract integrators that you guys may know well, the Carasops of the world, but also through our own vehicles and through our SI partner vehicles as well. So, whoever we work with our partners, we work with all of our procurement channels, introduce them, and make sure they have the opportunity to get their managed services as part of our procurement methodology. So, kind of wrapping up our platform is, Vazata provides a service as a fixed monthly fee over the term of the contract. So I think that's the big difference, right? I mean, everybody's out there are people out there saying, well, we do this. I know who my competition is, sure. The way we're building it is, we do it as a fixed monthly fee. So you're not writing $1 million check up front, you're not writing the $250,000 increments here, you're not having to write big checks for infrastructure to build your own cloud. What we do is we sit with you, we design what it looks like over a 3-year term. We take the cost of your initial assessments, the cost of your annual assessments, and how much infrastructure you'll need, and then we will take that cost on and we'll amortize it out over the term of the contract. I think that's kind of one of the neat things we do, is that we really become your partner and get better with it, because we want this to be successful, so we're willing to take that risk with you in doing this model. We know that we can deliver on our end, and we're going to work hard with partners we believe in. So to that saying, what we'd say is we want to do it with you for more than a few months. We want to be your partner for a few years, and we're willing to do it at a fixed monthly fee. We do that I don't have any pricing in here. We'll take that on a personal basis, but really our model is really based on kind of a small, medium, and large environment. Our smalls range anywhere from say 10 grand, mediums are 25, and large 50 to 60. And I'm not quoting pricing, guys. I'm just giving you some budgetary numbers that have come in. But that gives you an idea of where we're at with this, our monthly fees. So I got this down in a half hour. So in conclusion, we want to take the complex and costly deployment burdens off the table with Vazata's FedRAMP compliance service enablement platform. With our turnkey system and solution, we'll guide you through the process, we'll guide you through the compliance, and we'll guide you to FedRAMP ATO. We believe we can do it. We've done it before, and we'd love to have the opportunity to discuss how you do it with us. So I did it quick. I want to thank you all, and I think more importantly, let's open up for some questions if we can, Ryan.